Over the next few weeks, we'll be working on a final project together. In this video, I'm going to explain the reasoning behind it and how it all fits together. Ethnic studies' role in the academy has been to promote social justice through evidence-based research, teaching, and reciprocal community work. We approach issues from the perspective of marginalized groups, including Native Hawaiians, Micronesians, Samoans, Native Americans, Black folks, and Filipinx peoples. In bringing these historically marginalized groups to the center, this course highlights how the groups we study have acted collectively to challenge and change systems of oppression. The course challenges you to see these marginalized groups not solely as victims of oppression, but as people who make and change history. The course pushes you to see them not as strangers or competitors, but as allies and accomplices. However, to empathize with others, we first have to know ourselves. To know ourselves, we should know our family. The ultimate goal of this assignment is to reflect on how our identities index a long and complex history of racial, ethnic, and gendered social relations. This assignment is designed to get you thinking about the entirety of the course early. It will also prepare you for the final test. This assignment is not meant to force you into revealing personal information about your family, nor is this assignment limited to those with normative blood relationships. Instead, I want you to explore how you fit into a long history. I define family broadly as something made up not just by biological progenitors and siblings, but by the people that actually raised us and cared for us. Not all people define family in the same way or have the same relationship with their biology. In fact, for some, the concept of family can be triggering. If this factors into your experience, please contact me immediately and we'll modify the assignments to your needs. Again, if you have any concerns, contact me immediately. In this class, we analyze the structure and history of our own family. Our method for learning is interviewing and recording oral histories with our relatives. We also try to imagine a critical narrative thread that ties all these people and their stories to our own. We try to go back as far as we can in time and as wide as possible, at least 4 generations into third and fourth cousins and beyond. You might not be able to fully trace all 16 of your great great grandparents, but collect as much information as you can. Ask your family members questions about time, place, and reasons. If, for instance, they came to Hawaii from China, when did they come? Why? Look at all the factors for migration. How did their life change? Tell them you're also interested in sights, sounds, and smells they remember from their youth. Once you've started your interview, give as much attention as you can afford and take as much time as they are willing to give. Encourage your interviewee to speak in their own language or dialect. Your role is first to learn from these people, to be taught by them. In this interview, I also want you to think about ethics, not just ethnicity. Those are different concepts. In interviewing, creating a space of safety is probably more important than asking specific questions or getting the right answers. Encourage your family members that you're interested in any and all the details they want to share. Tell them it's perfectly acceptable for them to give you one long overview of your genealogy or tell you one or two small stories about the meaning of your heritage. In the social sciences, we study humans. When we conduct interviews and analyze people's thoughts and behaviors, we are conducting experiments. Therefore, we must research ethically and get the informed consent of our subjects. Remember, they are family, but they are human beings too, with problems, concerns, and interests. Also, keep in mind that your values may not coincide with theirs. From the perspective of this class, there is no wrong way to talk to your family. However, I'm sure you're best to judge the right way. Instead, think about how you'll explain to your family what you're doing and why you're doing it. Think about how you'll tell them that this information will be shared with your classmates and instructor, but also let them know that they can decline information, specific or in whole, from being shared with anyone outside the family. It will not impact your grade. If that's the case, message me. You will still be required to complete the assignment, but I will modify it for you. Now, before you jump into an interview, it might be helpful to think about everything I've said previously and also about the names of family members, their ethnicity, homeland, place of living, occupation, and other pertinent cultural and social information. It will be definitely important to pay attention to their migration history. That is, if that is part of your family history. It will definitely be helpful to think about the concept you're hoping to relate to at the end of the semester. This will also help prepare you for the interview. If you're still feeling confused or underprepared, read some tips for interviewing family members, which will be linked in La Lima. Also, feel free to take preparatory notes. Finally, think about expression. A family history is an important critical text. However, just as the concept of the family is flexible, so is the notion of text. In the workbook, I've created a standard learning pathway, one that takes the interviews you're going to conduct, contextualizes them within a critical ethnic studies framework, and results in a standard essay. But that might not be your preferred form of expression. How would your family like their story told? With whom, aside from me, would you like to share this story? What kind of creative aspects might you add to this project? Both you and I will be much happier with the final project if you follow your passion. Approve it. In a previous course, a student had a somewhat tense relationship with their family. They nevertheless felt an affinity towards their ethnic identity and wanted to explore it through food. They made an incredible video where they demonstrated cooking a special dish and included a deep conversation about ethnic identity and racism. They received 100% for their final project. And a year later, when they asked me for a letter of recommendation for a job, I was able to write a very good letter. You can watch it on La Lima or link it to it through the workbook. If you're interested in completing something like this, let me know as soon as possible. You might think that your family isn't interesting, but when you look at its history in the context of the history of Hawaii, the US, or another country, you can see that your family history is one of the many little stories that make up big history of us all. This brief interview might be something that your family will treasure for generations to come. Here are a couple of examples. One ES student, some years ago, got really into this assignment. She spent many hours with her dad, with whom she had previously lost contact. Some months after the class was over, she came back to visit the ES department. She told us that her father had passed away and that it was very comforting to her that the assignment had made her contact him. Without it, there would also have been many things she wouldn't have known about her heritage. Another example, and on the lighter side, two students from the Philippines in the same class actually discovered that their maternal grandmothers were sisters. The oral history project is a multi week assignment. The sooner you start on it and begin conducting your interviews, thinking through the answers, and planning your concepts and contextualizations, doing research around how you want to index social inequality through your family history, the better. Don't forget, you can always free write on your own time when I don't suggest it. And I think that would be a great idea. Thanks for listening.